Welcome to my second video about choosing lanes at roundabouts. In the first video, we looked at rules to help you to choose lanes at basic roundabouts. Now we're going to build on that to deal with more complex junctions. We're going to start with how we choose lanes at double roundabouts. So we're approaching a double roundabout now. Let's pause to look at the sign. The first thing to say is that the sign is not to scale. The roundabouts are very close together. We're going to go where the yellow dot is, which means we're going to go straight ahead at both roundabouts. In this satellite view, we're going to be travelling from the bottom of the screen to the top of the screen. We're going to stay in the left lane on both roundabouts because we're not leaving at the last exit, we're not turning right at either roundabout, and there are no lane markings telling us to do anything any different. So we stay left. Remember, we choose the left lane by default because we drive on the left. We only use the other lanes if the other conditions apply. So we follow the curb of the roundabout to keep us in the left-hand lane and aim for the left-hand lane on the approach to the second roundabout. Then we follow the curb on the left again to keep us in a nice left-hand position all the way around to exit number 2, where we leave. That's all quite straightforward, so let's look at the same roundabout again, but this time we're going to be turning right at the second roundabout, heading for Fleet as shown by this yellow dot. That means we'd go ahead at the first roundabout, which we would normally do in the left-hand lane, and we're turning right at the second roundabout, which we'd normally use the right-hand lane for. The problem is the roundabouts are very close together, so there's no time to swap lanes between the two roundabouts. So when you have two roundabouts close together, or a double roundabout, you have to approach the first roundabout in a position ready to leave the second roundabout. So here we have to approach the first roundabout in a right-hand position, ready to take the right-hand lane for the second roundabout. There's actually only one lane on the approach to the first roundabout, so we have to follow the centre line of the road to position right as we approach the first roundabout. Then we aim for the right-hand lane on the exit so that we're ready for the second roundabout in the right-hand lane to turn right and take the last exit. This overhead view shows the two different lines that we've just taken. The yellow line is the first path that we took, going ahead at the first roundabout and ahead at the second roundabout. And the orange line shows the path we took in the second clip, where we went ahead at the first roundabout and then turned right at the second roundabout. The important thing to note here is that both times we were going straight ahead first exit on the first roundabout. But we've had to approach the first roundabout differently and take a different line through it based on where we're going at the second roundabout. The second roundabout becomes much more important than the first when you have two roundabouts close together. So it's where you're going on the second roundabout will dictate your choice of lanes on the approach to the first roundabout. Let's look at another example on a different double roundabout. This time, the sign shows the roundabouts being literally right on top of each other with no road in between. Again, the sign's not to scale, there is road in between them, but there's nowhere for you to turn off between the two roundabouts, so it doesn't need to be shown on the sign. We're going to follow the road ahead to Farnborough Park. That's the first exit on both roundabouts, so we're going to stay left on both roundabouts. Here's the overhead view showing you the physical layout of this road. Again, we're going to stay left on both roundabouts to follow the road ahead, first exit. So we follow the curb to make sure that we position left, and that's going to draw us into the left-hand lane as the road widens out. Now we need to continue to follow the curb on the left to stay in the left lane through both roundabouts. As we approach the second roundabout, make sure we follow the curb on the left to stay left again until we reach our exit. Now let's look at the same roundabout again, but this time turning right at the second roundabout. So we're going to be heading towards the M3 as shown by the yellow dot on this diagram. Remember that with a double roundabout, the second roundabout is the dominant one. Because we're turning right at the second roundabout, we need to approach the first roundabout in a right-hand position, ready for the second roundabout. If we don't do that, there won't be enough time between the two roundabouts to safely move from the left lane to the right lane, ready for the second roundabout. So now we have our plan, we follow the centre line to position right on the approach to the first roundabout. Following the centre line draws us into the right-hand lane as the road widens out. We stay in the right-hand lane across this bridge, so we're on the right-hand lane on the approach to the second roundabout. And now we're in the correct lane to turn right at this second roundabout. This overhead view shows the two paths we've taken again. The yellow line is the first path, staying left at both roundabouts to go ahead at both roundabouts. The orange line shows the second path, going ahead at the first roundabout and right at the second roundabout. Again, the important thing here is that both times we went straight ahead at the first roundabout, but the first time we did it in the left lane, the second time we did it in the right lane. And the decision about which lane to use was based on where we were going at the second roundabout. The second roundabout is the dominant one when you have a double roundabout. So let's look at yet another double roundabout. No sign this time. It's a busy urban environment. We're turning right at the first roundabout, so we've approached in the right-hand lane, and we're also going to turn right at the second roundabout. Normally, we'd move over to the left lane to leave the roundabout, but if we do that, we won't have time to get back to the right for the second roundabout. So we exit straight into the right-hand lane, ready to turn right at the second roundabout. This satellite view shows the orange path that we've just taken, turning right and then right, and the alternative yellow line shows the path we would have taken if we'd been going straight ahead at the second roundabout. Notice on this occasion, our approach to the first roundabout is exactly the same, but it's how we exit the first roundabout that sets us up ready for the second roundabout. The common theme is that you can't wait until you're off the first roundabout before you start planning for the second roundabout. You must plan for both the roundabouts as you approach the first one, because you need to do things differently depending on where you're going at the second roundabout. Now looking at the same double roundabout but from a different direction. Again, two different paths are shown by the two different coloured lines. Notice that the way we approach the first roundabout is the same in both cases, using the right-hand lane, and that this time this is dictated by the road markings because the left lane is for left turn only at the first roundabout. But although we approach in the same lane for both routes, our route through the roundabout and exiting the roundabout is very different based on where we're going at the second roundabout. And now for our last example of double roundabouts, we'll look at the same double roundabout from one final direction. If we want to take the orange path, we have to approach the first roundabout in the left-hand lane because we're turning left at it. But we need to exit from that first roundabout straight into the right-hand lane, ready for the second roundabout. The space between the two roundabouts is extremely short. There simply wouldn't be time to move safely from the left lane to the right lane between the two roundabouts. So we must exit the first roundabout straight into the right-hand lane on approach to the second roundabout. Notice the road markings. If you exit the first roundabout in the left-hand lane, you have a left-only arrow, so you would have to turn left and follow the yellow path. So, in summary, whenever you're approaching a double roundabout, treat the two roundabouts as one junction. It's vitally important that you plan for the second roundabout before you reach the first roundabout. You won't have time in between the two roundabouts to plan for the second one. Where you want to go at the second roundabout will affect the way you exit the first roundabout and may affect the way you approach the first roundabout. As with all junctions, the earlier you start planning for it, the easier you'll find it to deal with the junction once you get there. Which brings us nicely onto the second topic in this video, how to anticipate that there might be lane markings as you approach a roundabout. Remember our basic rules about choosing lanes at roundabouts, as covered in the first video. We're going to plan on staying in the left lane unless we're taking the last exit, or we're turning right, or unless lane markings tell us we need to use a different lane. If we can anticipate that there are going to be lane markings before we can actually see them, then we can get into the correct position much earlier and be better prepared for the junction. It won't be possible to anticipate 100% of the times when lane markers are going to appear, because there will always be some local variations. But there are certainly some common patterns we can look out for to help us prepare earlier for the junction. The first example is really simple. We're on a single lane road approaching a roundabout. Look at the sign. There are only two possible ways to go. Generally, the road widens out to 2 lanes as you approach a roundabout. With 2 lanes and 2 exits, it will be 1 lane per exit. So the left lane will take you to the first exit, and the right lane will take you to the second exit. So we can anticipate that there will be road markings telling us this. Even though at this stage we can't see any road markings, but we could start to position based on anticipating the road markings. And there are our lane markings as anticipated. In this case, of course, we'd have already chosen the right-hand lane anyway, based on our normal rules. Because we're taking the last possible exit on the roundabout, we'd use the right-hand lane. But it doesn't hurt to have anticipated that there will be road markings, and it shows how predictable they can be. Although this first example is simple, it illustrates an important point. Why do we have roundabouts? To help keep traffic flowing. So why do we have lanes? Guess what? It's also to help keep traffic flowing. Once you understand this, it helps you to anticipate when you might be directed into a different lane by lane markings. In the example we just looked at, splitting the traffic into 2 lanes reduces queues on the approach to the roundabout. So let's look at some different examples. We're on a 1-lane road and we see a roundabout ahead. Let's look at the sign. Look at the first exit, M3, A327, these sound like major roads, so we can expect a lot of traffic to go that way. Now look at exit 2 straight ahead. Long list of places, we can expect that to be a busy exit as well. The third exit says airport, but I've got local knowledge and I know this is a small airport, it's not busy, so not a lot of traffic is going to go that way. So let's say 500 cars an hour go left, and let's say 500 cars an hour go straight on, similar level of traffic. And very few cars turn right, let's say 10 cars an hour. The actual numbers aren't important, it's the proportion we're looking at. If we left the right lane for turning right only, it would mean only 10 cars an hour were going that way, and 1,000 cars an hour would be using the left-hand lane. Would this keep the traffic flowing? No, it would cause a big queue in the left lane, and no one would be using the right lane. So based on traffic volumes, we can anticipate lane markings telling us to use the right-hand lane to go straight ahead at this roundabout, exit 2. Here come the lane markings which we anticipated. The left lane is for left turn only, exit 1. 500 cars an hour will use this lane. Another 500 cars an hour will use the right-hand lane to go straight ahead, plus 10 cars an hour will use the right-hand lane to turn right. So we've balanced the flow in each lane, reducing the queues and keeping the traffic flowing. So here's another example of the same thing. Again, it's a single lane road at the point at which we reach the sign. Let's have a look at the sign. We've got an A road to the left, first exit. we can expect a lot of traffic to go that way. We've got an A road ahead, exit 2, so we can expect a lot of traffic to go that way as well. We've got a minor road to the right, exit 3, so not so much traffic is going to go that way. It's exactly the same situation as the last example. We've got 500, 500, 10 again. So we can anticipate lane markings telling us to use the left lane for left only and the right-hand lane to go straight ahead or to turn right. And that's exactly what we get. This is a really common reason for lane markings at roundabouts, to split the traffic, to manage the traffic flows and balance it between the lanes. If you can anticipate that there will be road markings when you first see the sign, then you can position and plan earlier, giving you more time to judge the traffic and find your gap when you get to the roundabout. This next one is very common and also very simple. The map shows there is a dedicated slip lane for turning left first exit. So if you get in the left lane, you will be going left. So expect lane markings directing you otherwise for exits 2 and exit 3. Here's the overhead view of that roundabout. You can see the left-hand lane approaching from the bottom just goes to the left, does not allow it to go anywhere else. The clue was on the map on the approach to the roundabout, the extra line showing the slip lane for traffic turning left. And here's another example of the same thing. Left lane will be dedicated to the left only slip lane. So anticipate road markings telling you to use other lanes to go to exit 2 or exit 3. So let's summarise. We can anticipate that lane markings are likely on the approach to a roundabout if there are only 2 exits on the roundabout. In this case, it's very likely there'll be 1 lane per exit. If the first exit is a busy road, like an A road, it's very likely that they'll want to split the traffic and so leave the left lane for traffic just turning left and send the other traffic into another lane. If there's a dedicated slip lane for exit 1, then again the left lane is only for traffic turning left. Expect lane markings. Remember that roundabouts are designed to help keep traffic flowing. Splitting traffic into multiple lanes allows more traffic to flow around the roundabout in any given time. Putting lots of traffic into one lane would cause queues and would not help traffic flow. So look out for situations where you expect the traffic to be split to help the flow at the roundabout. This is where you're likely to see the lane markings directing you into different lanes. Thanks for watching. I hope you found it useful and learned something. If you did, please leave a comment on the video because it encourages me to make more videos. I'm planning to release part 3 of this video in about 2 weeks, and it will cover multi-lane roundabouts. If you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you'll be notified as soon as it's released. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.